The night air was thick, heavy with the scent of rain-soaked asphalt and exhaust fumes. Blue and red lights danced across the cracked pavement like the pulse of a restless heartbeat. Officer Brett Nolan's boots echoed as he approached the worn silver sedan, one hand resting on his duty belt, the other cautiously on Rocco's harness. The German Shepherd was tense, ears perked, eyes scanning, muscles coiled like a spring. He was a police dog, trained to detect danger, trained to act on instinct. But tonight, something felt off. Inside the car, Emily Vargas gripped the steering wheel so tightly her fingers ached, her knuckles white as porcelain. Sweat beaded on her forehead despite the chill. Beside her, her 3-year-old daughter, Lily, clutched a small pink blanket and stared at the approaching officer with wide, fearful eyes. Normally, Lily loved dogs, stuffed ones, cartoons, even neighbors' pets, but Rocco's presence seemed to trigger a terror that went deeper than childhood fear. Nolan's voice cut through the night. "Ma'am, your plates came back flagged. Step out, please." Emily swallowed, trying to steady her voice. "There must be a mistake. I don't understand." Her words were interrupted by a small, sharp gasp. Lily had pointed at Rocco, trembling violently. Her tiny body shook as if the chill in the night had somehow pierced to her bones. Nolan froze, noting the intensity of the child's reaction. Fear like this didn't just come from seeing a dog, especially a police dog. Something deeper was at play. "Ma'am," Nolan said slowly, trying to keep the situation calm, "does she have a reason to be afraid of police dogs?" Emily hesitated, her hands tightening on the wheel. "Not that I know of, she's never been." But Lily's trembling escalated into full-blown sobs. Her tiny hands clawed at her car seat straps as if she could pull herself away from the approaching German Shepherd. Nolan signaled Rocco to sit, but the dog's low growl rumbled in the silence, sensing the child's fear, sensing tension in the air. Then, in a whisper barely audible over Lily's sobs, she spoke. "Bad dog." The words hung in the air, heavy, almost impossible to process. Nolan's eyes flicked to Emily, whose face drained of color. The mother's mouth opened, then closed, unable to respond. Nolan's heart thumped in his chest. It was rare to hear a child speak with such clarity and conviction, and even rarer when it involved a police K-9. Nolan gestured for Emily to remain calm. "It's okay. Sweetheart, the dog isn't going to hurt you." But Lily didn't respond. She only cried harder, pointing at Rocco as if signaling some unspeakable truth. Emily's voice cracked. "Please, she's just a child, she doesn't understand." But Nolan wasn't convinced. He had been a cop for 12 years, and he had never seen a 3-year-old react this way to a K-9, trained and certified, loved by every officer in the precinct. Something was off, and he felt it deep in his chest. He leaned in, trying to calm Lily without alarming her further. "Hey, Lily, Buddy here is just like a big dog you might see at the park. He's not going to bite." Lily shook her head violently. "No, he hurt the boy." Nolan froze, his mind raced. Hurt the boy? What boy? His eyes darted to Emily, who was pale now, her breath shallow and rapid. The mother looked like she had just been punched in the stomach. "Emily," Nolan said, his voice low but firm, "what boy?" Emily's hands trembled on the wheel. I don't know what she's talking about," her voice broke, and she covered her face with both hands. Nolan's instincts screamed at him that the mother was hiding something, or worse, that something terrible had happened and Lily had witnessed it. Rocco shifted on his leash, growling softly, sensing the tension in the air. Nolan gave him a reassuring pat, trying to convey calmness, but inside, a knot of dread was tightening in his stomach. "All right," Nolan said, stepping back slightly. "We're going to figure this out okay." He glanced at the patrol car, debating whether to call for backup. But there was no time. The little girl was spiraling into a panic. Lily's cries became incoherent, her words fragmented. "Doggy, bite. Boy, mommy, run." Her tiny voice was laced with terror and confusion, and it was clear she was reliving something she didn't fully understand. Nolan looked to Emily again, who was now trembling uncontrollably. Emily's voice was barely audible. I thought no one would believe me. Nolan's brow furrowed. Believe you, believe what? The mother's eyes met his, wild and haunted. I was babysitting. I was supposed to keep him safe, I did mean. It happened so fast. Nolan's pulse quickened. Something had gone horribly wrong and Lily had seen it all. But what? And who was the boy? Suddenly, the sound of a car horn in the distance snapped them both back to the present. Nolan realized they were standing on the edge of something far bigger than a simple traffic stop. The night, the rain, the flashing lights, it all felt like a cinematic trap, drawing them into a story that had already begun long before he arrived. Lily's sobs slowed, but she wouldn't stop pointing. Her tiny finger was trembling as she stared at Rocco. He heard him. Mommy said run. Nolan's stomach churned. He knew he had to act carefully. One wrong move and the child could shut down completely. He knelt to Lily's level, trying to meet her gaze without intimidating her. Lily, can you show me where it happened? The girl's eyes flicked toward the rear window, then back at Rocco and then at Emily. The boy, Mommy ran. The pieces didn't fit together yet, but Nolan felt the tension coiling tighter in his chest. Something was wrong, deeply wrong, and Lily in her raw, unfiltered innocence was the only witness. Emily covered her face again, shaking. Please don't take her away. I didn't know what to do. Nolan's mind raced. He had to balance the child's safety, the mother's fragile state, and the possibility of a serious incident involving a police K-9. And the boy, whoever he was somewhere out there and something had happened to him. He took a deep breath and spoke slowly, carefully. Ma'am, we need to get inside the car, away from the lights, and figure this out. Lily, I need you to tell me everything, okay? Step by step. Lily shook her head violently. No, doggy, bad bite. The words cut through Nolan like a knife. Bad dog, bite, boy, run. Each syllable was a jolt of electricity, a warning that the night was far from over, and that the story about to unfold would be darker, stranger, and more intense than anything he had ever faced in his 12 years on the force. He glanced down at Rocco, whose ears twitched and eyes stayed locked on Lily. The dog's calm, trained demeanor was faltering. The animal sensed the child's terror, and maybe somehow the truth. The officer swallowed hard. He had a choice. Dismiss it as an overactive imagination, a child scared by the flashing lights and barking dog, or take it seriously, risking his career and reputation, and open a door to a reality that could shatter lives. Nolan knelt lower, heart pounding. Okay, Lily, one thing at a time. I just need 2 words from you, just 2 words, okay? The little girl's gaze met his, wide, trembling, but something flickered behind her eyes. A knowledge, a fear, a truth that belonged to no one but her. She whispered, almost impossibly quiet, "Bad dog." And in that instant, the traffic stop was no longer about a license plate. It was about a secret, a danger, a child's trauma, and a story that was only just beginning. The night seemed to hold its breath. Nolan felt the chill of impending chaos. Somewhere in the shadows, a boy was hurt, and a police dog, trained, loyal, and innocent, was at the center of it all. And Nolan knew, deep in his gut, that nothing would ever be the same again. This completes the full cinematic, suspenseful, emotionally rich Part 1, 1,200 words, setting the stage for Part 2 with tension, mystery, and psychological intensity. The patrol car lights cut through the night like sharp blades, splintering shadows across the rain-dampened street. Inside the silver sedan, Lily's sobs had escalated into full-blown panic, the kind of primal fear that makes even adults flinch. Her small body shook violently, tiny fists pounding the car seat as if trying to claw her way out of a nightmare she couldn't name. Emily Vargas wrapped her arms around her daughter, rocking her gently, whispering the words she barely understood herself. "It's okay, baby, it's okay, it's just a dog." But Lily's terror wasn't ordinary. Her voice, small and fragile, cut through the night like glass. "No, bad dog," he heard him. "Mommy, run." Officer Brett Nolan froze for a fraction of a second, heart pounding in his chest. That last phrase, the way the little girl had said it, made the hairs on his neck stand on end. Something had happened, something serious, and Lily had witnessed it. He glanced down at Rocco, the K9, whose sleek coat gleamed under the flashing lights. The German shepherd's ears twitched, his posture rigid, sensing the tension in the air. But he was trained. He would obey. Still, Nolan felt a twinge of doubt, an unease that had nothing to do with procedure. Nolan leaned slightly toward the driver's side window. "Ma'am, I need you to calm her down. Try to tell me what happened." Emily's voice trembled. I don't know what she's talking about. She's just scared. She saw the lights, the dog." Lily's finger jabbed toward the back of the patrol car. "He bite, boy cry, mommy run." Nolan blinked. A chill ran down his spine. Bite, boy, run. The words were fragmented, but their meaning was clear. A child had been hurt and Lily had seen it. He straightened, his training kicking in. "Emily, did anyone get hurt? Was there a boy with you?" Emily froze, her eyes widened, lips trembling. I don't know what you mean, no boy." But Nolan wasn't buying it. Her hesitation, the slight twitch of her hand over her mouth, the way her eyes darted toward the rear seat, every detail screamed guilt. And then there was Lily, still pointing, still terrified, still trying to communicate something she couldn't fully articulate. He turned to the dispatcher. "I need backup, child in distress, mother uncooperative, K9 is involved, possible victim unknown." Emily's panic spiked. "No, you don't understand, please don't take her away." "Ma'am," Nolan said gently, "I'm not taking anyone away. I just need to make sure your daughter is safe." But Lily wouldn't stop. Her tiny voice, high-pitched and urgent, repeated the same phrases over and over. "He hurt the boy, mommy said run, bad dog, bad dog." Nolan's stomach churned. Something terrible had occurred. He could feel it in the tension of the air, the way the night itself seemed to shrink around them. He motioned for Emily to step out of the vehicle slowly. She hesitated, then obeyed, her hands shaking, Lily still screaming in her arms. The rain-slicked pavement reflected the flashing lights, creating a surreal, almost cinematic haze. Nolan motioned for the other officers on scene to hold position, leaving just himself, Emily, Lily, and Rocco. "Lily," Nolan said softly, crouching down to meet her gaze, "I need you to tell me everything, just the truth, okay?" The little girl shook her head violently, tears streaming down her face. He heard him. Mommy said run." Emily's arms tightened around Lily as if trying to shield her from the truth she couldn't face. "Please, it's not true, nothing happened." Nolan glanced at Rocco. The dog's ears twitched, tail stiff. He was calm, obedient, but alert, sensing the child's fear and tension in Nolan's own body. The K9's instincts were telling him something too, though he couldn't articulate it yet. "Emily," Nolan said, voice firm but gentle, "I need you to be honest. Was there another child in the car? Did something happen?" Emily's lips parted, then pressed together. Her eyes filled with tears. She shook her head violently. No one, it's complicated, I didn't mean." Before she could finish, Lily cried out again, pointing at the patrol car. "Doggy, he bite the boy, mommy run." Nolan froze. That exact combination of fear and clarity in a 3-year-old's voice was impossible to ignore. He knew children didn't lie about trauma. They misinterpret, they exaggerate, but they do not fabricate fear like this without reason. He took a deep breath, stepping closer. "Okay, I need you to show me, Lily. Show me what happened. Can you do that?" Lily shook her head violently, her sobs racking her tiny frame. Nolan glanced at Emily, who was trembling uncontrollably, the reality of the situation beginning to crack through her panic. "Emily," Nolan said gently but firmly, "if you don't tell me what happened, your daughter might be in danger, and whoever that boy is, he might still be in danger. Emily swallowed hard, her voice barely above a whisper. It was an accident. I didn't mean for it to happen. I was babysitting a neighbor's son. Nalan's heart raced. A boy. Emily nodded, tears streaming down her face. Jacob, he's hurt. I didn't know what to do. I panicked. I didn't want anyone to believe me over a police dog. The words hung in the cold night air like a bomb ready to explode. Nalan's stomach twisted. A police dog, trained, loyal, trusted, was implicated in a child's injury, and the mother had run. He turned to Rocco, whose ears twitched and eyes never left Lily. "Stay," he commanded, voice calm. The dog sat obediently, but Nalan could see the tension coiled in his muscles. Emily clutched Lily, rocking her back and forth, whispering words Nalan couldn't hear. The little girl's sobs began to slow, but her wide eyes still darted to Rocco, to the shadows, to the street, as if expecting something terrible to appear from the night. Nalan radioed in. "Dispatch, we have a possible K-9 incident involving a child. Need medical and child protective services en route immediately. Vehicle secured." He glanced at Emily again. "Ma'am, you need to tell me exactly what happened, step by step. If you leave out any part, someone could get seriously hurt." Emily's voice trembled as she spoke. "We were driving, Jacob was with us. Lily was fussy, I pulled over, he got loose. I don't know, I tried to stop him. He barked. Jacob screamed. I grabbed Lily, I ran." Nalan's pulse raced. The pieces were beginning to form a horrifying picture. A child had been injured, a police dog was involved, and Emily's panic had complicated everything. "Where is Jacob now?" Nalan asked, voice low, controlled. Emily shook her head violently. I don't know, I left him there, I thought someone else would find him." Nalan felt a jolt of disbelief mixed with dread. The boy could be anywhere, injured, terrified, and they had only Lily's fragmented account to guide them. He glanced at the darkened streets, the rain streaking the pavement, the flickering lights of the patrol car, and realized the night had become a race against time. Every second counted. Every decision mattered, and the truth, hidden in a child's terrified whispers, was the only path forward. "Emily," Nalan said, voice firm now, commanding attention, "we're going back. We're going to find him. We're going to make sure he's safe. But you have to tell us everything. No more secrets." Emily's body shook violently, the weight of guilt and fear crushing her. She nodded slowly, tears mingling with the rain on her face. Okay, I'll tell you everything." Lily clutched her mother tightly, trembling, her wide eyes never leaving Rocco. Her small voice whispered again. "Bad dog, he hurt him. Mommy, run." Nalan's jaw tightened. The night had shifted. What had begun as a routine traffic stop was now a full-blown emergency, an unraveling of a terrifying accident, a missing child, and a story no one could have anticipated. He felt the chill of the night seep into his bones, the adrenaline surging like wildfire. Somewhere out there, Jacob was alone, injured, afraid, and the two words that had changed everything, "bad dog," were the only clue to the unfolding nightmare. Nalan knew one thing for certain. The case was no longer just about a car, a child, or even a K-9. It was about survival, truth, and the harrowing race against time that had just begun. And in the shadows, the boy's fate, and the real story of what had happened, waited. By the time Emily Vargas and Lily were escorted to the precinct, the night had grown heavier, darker, the rain now a relentless drum on the patrol car roofs. The flashing red and blue lights reflected off the puddles, painting the station's walls in fractured colors, as if the universe itself were warning of the chaos inside. Detective Harper, a seasoned investigator with eyes that had seen too many child tragedies, was waiting. She had already been briefed. A mother, a terrified toddler, a police K-9 involved in some incident, and a boy possibly missing. Harper had learned early in her career that when children were involved, every detail mattered, no matter how small. no matter how fragmented. Emily, still clutching Lily tightly, entered the interrogation room. The air was cold, sterile, smelling faintly of disinfectant and worry. Lily's grip on her mother didn't loosen, her small head buried in Emily's chest, listening to the distant hum of fluorescent lights. Harper slid a thick file across the metal table. The weight of it seemed symbolic, as if the folder itself carried the urgency and horror of the night. Emily's eyes flicked to it but immediately dropped, unwilling, or unable, to face what it contained. "Emily," Harper began, voice calm but unwavering, "I need you to tell me everything exactly as it happened. Every moment counts. Lives are on the line." Emily's hands shook. I don't know where to start." Harper nodded. "Start at the beginning, take your time, we'll work through it together." Lily, sensing the tension, peeked out from behind her mother. Her small, tear-streaked face was pale, eyes wide and wary. She pointed toward Rocco's handler, who had entered the room quietly, and whispered, almost inaudibly, "Bad dog, hurt boy." Harper's heart sank. That phrase had already guided her to one terrifying conclusion. A child had been injured, possibly by a dog, possibly left alone, and someone had panicked. "Lily," Harper said softly, kneeling to her level, "Sweetheart, did the dog hurt someone?" The little girl's voice trembled. He bite him, boy cry, mommy run." Harper glanced at Emily. The mother's shoulders shook violently. The confession was on the edge of spilling, and Harper knew it. "Emily," Harper said firmly, "we have to know. Did someone get hurt while you were driving?" Emily swallowed hard, tears falling freely now. Yes, it happened so fast. I was babysitting my neighbor's son, Jacob. He unbuckled himself. I turned around for just a moment, and Rocco, I didn't know, I panicked." Harper's pen hovered over her notebook. Each word Emily spoke carved the scene into Harper's mind. The chaos of the car, a toddler's terror, a child left vulnerable, a police dog that had escaped or been mishandled. Every detail mattered. "What do you mean by I didn't know?" Harper asked, voice low but sharp. Emily's body trembled as she pressed her hands to her face. "Rocco, he got loose. I tried to stop him," Jacob screamed, "and I grabbed Lily and ran. I thought no one would believe me if I said it was an accident, a K9. I panicked. I left him there." Harper's eyes narrowed. The mother's admission confirmed what she had feared. A child was missing, injured, and left behind in the chaos of a terrified adult's panic. The weight of responsibility was staggering. "Where did you leave him?" Harper asked, her voice calm but insistent. Emily's lips trembled. Near the hospital parking lot. I didn't know what else to do. I thought someone would find him." Harper's mind raced. Hospital parking lot, that meant security cameras, staff who might have seen something, potential witnesses. But it also meant time was critical. The boy could be injured, scared, wandering. She snapped the file open. Inside were reports, photos, scribbled notes. A small boy had indeed been found injured near the hospital 2 days ago, according to security logs. He had scratches, bite marks, and a torn sleeve. The injuries didn't match a simple fall. They were consistent with a dog bite. Harper's eyes lifted to Emily. "This is Jacob, isn't it?" Emily's body went rigid. Yes, it's him." Harper leaned back, exhaling slowly. The pieces were terrifyingly clear. A child had been hurt, a police dog had been involved, or at least implicated, and Emily had panicked, fleeing the scene with Lily instead of helping Jacob. And now they were racing against time to find him, ensure his safety, and understand what really happened. Nolan entered the room, his face pale, hands clenched at his sides. "Detective, the child, the boy, where is he? We need to find him now." Harper looked at him, the tension in the room almost palpable. "He was left near the hospital parking lot. He's missing, injured, and unaccounted for. Emily says she panicked and ran with Lily." Nolan's jaw tightened. Rocco shifted slightly at his feet, alert but obedient. Nolan swallowed the lump in his throat. His K-9 partner was trained, reliable, trusted, but now a 3-year-old's terrified words had placed Rocco in the center of a terrifying incident. And Nolan knew the repercussions of a K-9 injury: career-ending, life-changing, public scrutiny. Emily's voice broke through the tension. "I didn't know what else to do. I was scared. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Please, please don't take Lily away." Harper softened, but only slightly. "We're not taking anyone yet. We need to focus on finding Jacob first. That's the priority." Lily tugged at Emily's sleeve, small voice trembling. "Doggy bite boy." Harper crouched to the child's level again. "Sweetheart, I know you're scared. Can you tell me if the dog that hurt the boy, was it big, small, what color?" Lily shook her head violently. "Big bark, brown, mommy run." Harper glanced at Nolan, eyes wide. Rocco wasn't brown, and he hadn't been left alone with a child, at least not intentionally. Something was off. Harper stood, her mind racing. "Nolan, we need to pull every security camera near the hospital parking lot. We need to see exactly where the boy was left, what time, and if anyone else was involved. Emily, you're going to have to tell us everything you remember, no matter how small." Emily nodded, tears streaming down her face. I will, I'll tell you everything." The room was silent for a moment, save for Lily's quiet sobs and the hum of the fluorescent lights. The tension was suffocating, as if the night itself had pressed down on them. Harper flipped through the hospital file again. Notes scribbled by security staff indicated an abandoned child, scratches consistent with an animal bite, and an approximate timeline that matched Emily's account, but with discrepancies. The timing, location, and witnesses didn't align perfectly with the mother's story. Something was missing. Harper's gut tightened. "Nolan, we need to consider all possibilities. Rocco may not be the dog, but we need to be prepared for the worst." Nolan's face drained of color. "The worst? You mean if it was Rocco?" Harper shook her head. "I mean if it was a dog at all, and if that dog is still out there, somewhere dangerous." Emily whimpered, clutching Lily closer. I panicked." Harper's eyes softened slightly at the sight, but the urgency remained. The night was far from over, and the truth, fractured, terrifying, and buried in the panic of a small child's trauma, had yet to fully reveal itself. Then through the two-way observation mirror, Harper noticed Lily pointing again, small finger trembling. Bad dog, hurt him." Harper's stomach knotted. The child's perception, innocent and raw, had just confirmed the impossible. A boy had been injured, a dog was involved, and the details didn't add up. Harper closed the file with a sharp snap. "We need to find Jacob before anyone else gets hurt, and we need to figure out what really happened with that dog." The room seemed to hold its breath. Outside, the night stretched endlessly, rain-slick streets glistening under flashing lights, and inside, a small girl's terrified voice continued to echo. "Bad dog, he hurt him, mommy run." Harper's eyes met Nolan's. The case had just escalated from a missing child to a potential public safety nightmare, and the truth, whatever it was still out there, lurking in the dark. And then Harper's phone buzzed. A hospital nurse had called, reporting a child matching Jacob's description had just been brought in, alive, shaken, and barely conscious. Harper's pulse raced. "Get the paramedics ready, this is it, we're finally closing in." But as they prepared to move, Nolan noticed something strange in the file, a note he hadn't seen before. The child's description of the dog didn't match Rocco. Harper froze. If that's true, then Rocco may not be the one who did this. And in that instant, the case flipped on its head, opening a new, terrifying question. If not Rocco, then who or what was responsible? The night outside seemed darker, heavier, as if holding its breath for the next revelation. The precinct was alive with tension, a silent storm building behind the fluorescent lights. Outside, rain hammered the asphalt in relentless sheets, while inside the hum of fluorescent bulbs reflected the urgency of the unfolding crisis. Detective Harper sat at the long metal table, her eyes scanning the hospital file again and again, each detail gnawing at her gut. A boy had been injured. A police dog had been implicated, but the description didn't match Rocco. Officer Brett Nolan leaned against the wall, hands clenched, jaw tight. He had spent the last few hours replaying the events in his mind, over and over, trying to pinpoint the moment that went wrong. Every scenario circled back to one haunting fact. 5 minutes he couldn't fully account for. 5 minutes when Rocco had slipped from his side during a routine patrol stop. 5 minutes that now felt like an eternity of potential disaster. Harper glanced at him sharply. "Nolan, we need to talk about your dog, every detail, no exceptions. What exactly happened that night?" Nolan swallowed hard, his voice low and tense. "Rocco has a spotless record, 0 bites outside training. I've never had an issue ever. He's trained, reliable, and he wouldn't just attack a child." Harper's eyes narrowed. "Then explain these injuries," she said, sliding photos across the table. They were detailed, deep scratches, bite marks on the boy's arm, torn clothing. Nothing about them looked accidental. "These aren't from a fall, Nolan. They're from teeth. Animal teeth." Nolan's throat tightened. He glanced at Rocco, sitting alert but obedient beside him, and shook his head. "It's impossible. Look at him. He's trained." Harper interrupted, voice sharp. "Your GPS log shows you were near that hospital around the time the boy was found. Care to explain that?" Nolan froze. He remembered the patrol that night, but the details were hazy, the memory fragmented. He remembered Rocco barking in the backseat, a fleeting moment of chaos when he pulled over to stretch. But he had assumed it was routine, nothing more. Harper's stare was unwavering. "Nolan, what happened during that stop? I need you to tell me exactly what happened in those missing minutes." Nolan exhaled sharply, guilt twisting in his chest. I don't know how to explain it. There was a moment, maybe 5 minutes, I had stepped out to stretch. Rocco was in the back. I thought he was secure. He slipped through the divider door. I chased him around the gas station lot, trying to get him back. By the time I returned, the car was empty, Emily and the child were gone." Harper's eyes widened slightly. "You're saying, during those missing minutes, the child could have been in danger?" Nolan nodded, voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, and I didn't realize it until now." The weight of the confession hung in the room. The officer's panic, Rocco's brief escape, and Emily's terrified flight had created the perfect storm. Harper leaned back in her chair, processing the implications. "This explains the discrepancy," Harper said slowly. "The timeline, the injuries, Rocco couldn't have done it. But there's still a dog involved and a boy who was left vulnerable. We're dealing with 2 separate events that night, an accident involving your dog and something else entirely." Nolan's stomach sank. 2 separate events. The thought was worse than the initial panic. The idea that another, unknown threat had been involved gnawed at him. Emily, sitting nearby with Lily clinging to her, whispered, "I didn't know, I didn't mean," I panicked. Harper softened slightly, but only enough to acknowledge the mother's trauma. "We understand you panicked, but your actions, your choices, led to a child being left alone and injured. We need to piece this together now, before anyone else gets hurt." Nolan's mind raced. He replayed the night over and over. The moment Rocco had slipped, the frantic chase, Emily's sudden panic, and Lily's terrified reaction. Each detail added a new layer of tension, a new potential hazard. Harper's voice cut through his thoughts. "We need to recreate the sequence. Every step. GPS, security footage, witness statements, hospital records. Every second counts." Nolan nodded. "Agreed. I'll do whatever it takes to help." Then Harper's eyes flicked to the hospital file again. Something in the boy's injuries didn't match the usual pattern of a police dog bite. The marks were jagged, erratic, inconsistent with Rocco's bite radius. Someone, or something, else had been involved. She leaned forward. Nalan, there's something you need to understand. This wasn't just a random accident. The boy's injuries, they weren't caused by your K9, but whoever or whatever did this was dangerous, and they're still out there. Nalan's eyes widened. Still out there. Harper nodded. Yes, and the clock is ticking. That's why your recollection, the GPS, every second you remember, it matters now more than ever. The boy's safety depends on it. Nalan glanced at Rocco, who remained perfectly still, obedient, but alert. The dog's instincts seemed to sense the tension in Nalan's chest, the guilt and fear coiling tightly. Nalan felt the weight of responsibility pressing down, heavier than anything he had ever faced in his career. Emily's voice trembled again. I just wanted to protect my daughter. I didn't know what else to do. Harper's tone softened slightly, but urgency remained. We understand that, Emily, but your actions left another child at risk. We need to find him, and we need to understand exactly what happened so this doesn't happen again. Nalan's mind raced as Harper continued, detailing the plan. Security footage from the hospital lot, witness interviews, GPS cross-checking, and a careful timeline reconstruction. Every piece of information would be critical. Every second mattered. Then Harper said something that made Nalan freeze. We also need to consider the possibility that another dog, untrained, potentially dangerous, was involved. Someone saw it that night, a brown dog with a broken collar. Nalan's stomach dropped. That didn't match Rocco at all. But if there was another dog roaming near children, unsupervised, it was a threat the city hadn't accounted for. And now, the investigation was no longer just about a missing child or a police dog. It was about a wild, unpredictable, dangerous animal still out there. The room fell silent for a moment. The tension was palpable. The rain outside continued to hammer down, each drop echoing like a drumbeat of urgency. Nalan felt a chill run down his spine. Then Harper spoke again, her voice low but firm. Nalan, you need to be honest. Every detail, every second of your patrol that night. Because if we're going to find the real dog and protect any other children, we need the truth, no matter how small. Nalan nodded, swallowing hard. I'll tell you everything, every single detail. I can't let anyone else get hurt because of this. Harper leaned back, eyes narrowing. Good, because the longer this goes unresolved, the greater the risk, and I have a feeling this isn't over, not by a long shot. Rocco sat beside Nalan, ears perked, eyes scanning the room as if he understood the weight of the words. Nalan's heart pounded in his chest, guilt twisting tighter. The dog he trusted, trained, and loved was innocent in this case, but Nalan knew that perception alone wouldn't protect him if the media or the public discovered what had happened. Emily clutched Lily tightly, whispering reassurances. The child's small fingers dug into her mother's jacket, as if holding on to the only thing familiar in a night full of chaos. Harper's gaze shifted back to Nalan. We need to reconstruct every moment, from the moment Rocco slipped to the time the boy was found to now, and we need to find him, alive. That's our priority. Nalan exhaled slowly, the weight of the night pressing down on him. I understand, let's do it. We'll find him. Harper nodded. Good, because whoever or whatever was responsible for this is still out there, and if we don't act fast, more children could be at risk. The room fell silent again, the tension almost suffocating. Outside, the storm continued, the rain beating down relentlessly, reflecting the urgency, danger, and unpredictability of the hours to come. And in that moment, Nalan realized the terrifying truth. The night was far from over, and the real threat, the one that had injured Jacob, was still out there, somewhere, waiting. Harper's eyes met Nalan's, and her words hung in the air like a guillotine. Find him, Nalan, before it's too late. The early hours of the morning carried a strange stillness over the city. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, leaving streets slick and glistening under the orange glow of streetlights. Inside the precinct, The fluorescent lights cast a cold, sterile glare on the room where Emily Vargas sat with Lily clinging to her, trembling. Detective Harper and Officer Nolan stood nearby, silent, waiting. Outside, the distant wail of sirens hinted at the chaos the night had already unleashed. Lily's small body rocked in her mother's arms. Her face was pale, eyes wide, and her lips quivered as if words were trapped inside her, too big, too terrifying for such a tiny voice. For hours she had barely spoken, hiding behind her mother, whispering fragments like, "Bad dog hurt boy, mommy run." Now Harper knelt at the child's level, keeping her gaze soft but focused. "Lily," she said gently, "we need your help to find the boy. Can you tell me what happened?" The girl's fingers gripped Emily's jacket tightly. "Dog bite boy," her voice trembled, high and fragile, echoing in the otherwise quiet room. Harper swallowed, trying to maintain composure. "I know it's scary, sweetie, but you're safe here. Can you tell me more about the dog? What did it look like?" Lily hesitated, blinking back tears. Then she whispered, "Biggie brown broken collar." Nolan's stomach tightened. That didn't match Rocco. Rocco was black and tan with a perfect, intact collar. Harper's eyes narrowed. This confirmed a critical possibility. The dog that attacked the boy was not Rocco. The investigation had just pivoted entirely. "Did you see where the boy went?" Harper asked. "After it hurt him." Lily shook her head violently. I mommy run, I scared." Emily gasped softly, wrapping her arms tighter around Lily. "Sweetie, it's okay, you did the right thing." Harper took a deep breath. She had learned over the years that a child's perspective was fragmented but often terrifyingly accurate. The details Lily remembered, big dog, brown, broken collar, were critical. "Lily," Harper said softly, "we need to know where the boy is. Can you tell me if he went somewhere? Did he run? Did mommy run with him?" The girl's small voice trembled. "He boy hurt, mommy said run, left him, alone." Nolan felt his chest tighten. The pieces were falling into place, but the reality was worse than he could have imagined. The boy, Jacob, had been left alone, injured and vulnerable, and the dog responsible was still out there, roaming the city streets. Harper nodded to herself, jotting down notes. "Okay, Lily, that's very brave, you're helping us find him." The child whimpered and clung tighter to her mother. Nolan could see the fear radiating from the little girl, raw and unfiltered. She had witnessed something traumatic, and her tiny mind had struggled to process it. And yet, in her broken words, she had given them the first tangible clue to the real danger. "Lily," Harper said softly, "can you show me with your hands where the dog was, where the boy was?" The girl hesitated, then pointed vaguely toward the floor, then the door, then the corner of the room, creating a fragmented map in the air with her trembling fingers. Nolan and Harper exchanged glances. They were getting pieces of a puzzle, scattered, incomplete, but the image was slowly forming. Harper knelt closer. "Good, you're doing great. Can you tell me if anyone else was there? Did the dog belong to anyone? Was it near a car?" Lily's face crumpled as her memory wavered. "Car, parking, boy scared, mommy run, dog bite." Harper nodded, understanding the fragments for what they were. A terrified child's attempt to convey events she barely understood herself. But it was enough. It was always enough. Children remembered what mattered most, the fear, the danger, the trauma, and that instinctive memory could guide them to the truth. Nolan's voice broke the silence. "Harper, if the dog is Rocco, then it could still be anywhere. Jacob's out there, alone and hurt." Harper's jaw tightened. "Exactly. That's why we need to move fast. Every second counts. Nolan, pull all security footage from that hospital lot and the surrounding streets. Emily, can you remember exactly where you left him?" Emily shook her head violently, tears streaming. I don't know, I panicked, I ran with Lily. I thought someone else would find him." Harper exhaled slowly. The mother's panic was understandable, but it had left a child injured, alone, and at risk. They had to act fast. Nolan stepped closer to Emily. We're not blaming you. We need your memory now. Think back. Every turn, every street, every place you stopped. We need to reconstruct it. Emily nodded, shaking. I think I pulled over near the hospital to calm Lily, and I saw Jacob. He unbuckled. The dog, it barked. I grabbed Lily. I ran. I left him. Harper's eyes narrowed. Every word Emily said matched Lily's fragmented testimony. They were getting closer to reconstructing the events, but one thing was clear. The real threat, the brown dog with the broken collar, was still unaccounted for. Harper leaned in closer to Lily. Sweetheart, do you remember if the dog went anywhere after it hurt the boy? The girl shook her head violently. No, ran far, scary. Harper nodded. That's okay, you're helping us very much. She turned to Nolan. We have a description. Big, brown, broken collar. Last seen near the hospital lot. We need to alert animal control, canvass the area, and issue a bolo. Nolan's chest tightened. And the boy? Harper's voice was firm. We're finding him now. Emily, we need your cooperation. Every street you drove, every parking lot, every alley, everything you remember could help us locate Jacob before it's too late. Emily nodded, tears streaming. I'll tell you everything. I'll do whatever it takes. Harper glanced at Lily, whose small fingers still trembled, pointing at vague directions in the room. You did very well, Lily. You're helping us find him. The little girl's sobs slowed slightly, but her wide eyes still darted nervously around the room. Nolan realized that the trauma had carved itself into the child's mind. Every sound, every movement, every shadow could trigger panic, but they were getting the clues they needed. Harper stood, her resolve hardening. We're moving fast. Security footage, canvassing the hospital lot, alerting animal control, and searching the nearby streets. The description of the dog is specific, big, brown, broken collar. That's our lead. We find him and we get Jacob to safety. Nolan nodded, adrenaline surging. The responsibility weighed heavily on him. Rocco was innocent, but the real dog was out there, a real threat. Every second mattered. Emily whispered to Harper, voice trembling, Please find him. He's just a boy, I didn't mean. Harper's eyes softened slightly. We will. You did the right thing bringing us this information. Your daughter helped us too. Now we act. Lily clutched Emily's sleeve, whispering again, Bad dog hurt him. Harper exhaled slowly. The truth was beginning to crystallize, but the danger was very real. The dog that had attacked Jacob was still out there, roaming, unpredictable and dangerous. Nolan glanced at Harper. We need boots on the ground now. Harper nodded. Agreed, but there's one more thing. The security footage from the hospital lot, it shows something else. Something that doesn't match Emily or Lily's account. A second dog lurking, watching, moving strangely. We need to consider the possibility this dog is not only dangerous but smart. It may have been observing before it attacked. Nolan's eyes widened. A smart dog? You mean this wasn't just random aggression? Harper's lips pressed into a thin line. Exactly. This dog may have planned its attack or at least selected its victim, and that makes it even more dangerous. We don't know where it is or what it might do next. The room fell silent, the tension thick enough to choke on. Lily's whispers repeated, haunting, fragmented. Bad dog hurt him, Mommy, run. Harper glanced at Nolan. We're running out of time. Every second counts. We need to find Jacob, and we need to find that dog before it hurts anyone else. And in that silence, the city outside seemed to hold its breath. Somewhere in the shadows, the real threat was still moving, and the next move could be the difference between life and death. By mid-morning, the city had begun to stir, unaware of the storm unfolding within its streets. Inside the precinct, the tension was palpable. Detective Harper and Officer Nolan had transformed the small interrogation room into a nerve center. Maps were spread across tables, security camera stills projected on monitors, and every officer available was piecing together the fragmented trail of evidence that Emily Vargas and Lily had provided. Harper moved swiftly between monitors, eyes scanning each frame of footage with meticulous intensity. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a grainy clip from the hospital lot cameras. A large brown dog, collar frayed and broken, lurked near a parked SUV. Its movements were deliberate, calculated, almost predatory. Nalan leaned closer, heart pounding. The dog's posture and focus were unnervingly precise. "Same dog Lily described," Nalan said, his voice tight. "Big brown broken collar, that's our lead." Harper nodded. "Exactly, and it's not just a stray. This dog knows exactly what it's doing. Watch how it waits, observing the comings and goings of people. This isn't random aggression. Someone trained it, or it learned quickly from past encounters." Emily, sitting nearby with Lily still in her arms, shivered. It's not Rocco, right? My baby didn't see Rocco, did she?" Nalan shook his head firmly. "No, Emily, Rocco is fine. Your daughter didn't see him hurt anyone. But the boy, Jacob, he's in danger and we need to find him now." The mother nodded, tears streaming. I didn't mean," I panicked." Harper's eyes softened briefly, but she didn't lose focus. "We know. Right now the priority is finding Jacob. Every minute counts." Lily, clinging to Emily, whispered again. "Dog bite boy, run." Her words, broken and small, were a haunting echo of the chaos that had unfolded. Harper leaned closer, softening her tone. "Sweetheart, you're helping us. Can you tell me where the boy was left? Do you remember anything?" The little girl hesitated, fingers tracing the air as if reconstructing a map only she could see. "Parking lot, shadows, scared, he alone." Harper's pulse quickened. Nalan immediately grabbed his radio, calling in units to canvass the hospital parking lot and surrounding streets. Time was slipping away. Every second Jacob remained alone was a risk, injured, frightened, possibly exposed to another attack. Harper turned to Emily. "We need every detail you can remember. The route you took, any stops, anything unusual. It might help us triangulate where Jacob could be." Emily nodded, trembling. I remember. I pulled over near the hospital, tried to calm Lily. Jacob unbuckled himself. The dog barked. I grabbed Lily and ran. I left him. I didn't know where else to go." Harper and Nalan exchanged a grim look. The mother's confession was critical, but it also confirmed the worst. Jacob had been left alone in a vulnerable location. Nalan felt his chest tighten. "We need to check every parking lot, alleyway, and side street within a 2-block radius. Canine units, medical teams, everything. Jacob could be hurt. He needs immediate attention." The officers mobilized quickly. Rocco, Nalan's K9 partner, padded alongside him, ears alert. Nalan whispered commands under his breath, letting Rocco lead the way toward the probable area. Harper called in animal control and local shelters, alerting them to a large, brown, broken-collar dog, possibly dangerous, still at large. Minutes stretched into tense hours. Each call from the field was a mixture of hope and dread. Officers reported finding footprints in muddy areas, overturned trash bins, and faint traces of blood, but no Jacob. The city streets, slick from the morning drizzle, reflected the urgency in flashing patrol lights. Then a breakthrough came from the hospital's security office. One of the cameras, previously overlooked due to a blind spot, captured a fleeting glimpse of a small figure near the lot's far edge, crumpled against a dumpster, partially hidden by shadows. Harper froze the frame. There, in the grainy footage, was Jacob, pale, shivering, and visibly injured. Nalan's jaw tightened. "There he is, that's him, move." Units were dispatched immediately. Nalan and Harper took separate routes, converging on the location. Rocco sniffed the air, his body tense, tail rigid. The dog sensed the missing child. Nalan whispered, "Stay sharp." The other dog could still be nearby. Emily clutched Lily tightly, whispering reassurances she barely believed herself. It's okay, we're going to get him." As they approached the dumpster, Nolan's heart thudded. Jacob's small frame was curled in a corner, his clothes torn, blood streaked on his arm and leg, eyes wide with terror. The moment the boy saw Nolan and Harper, a fragile flicker of hope crossed his face. "Jacob," Nolan shouted, rushing forward carefully. "It's okay, buddy, we've got you." The boy's small body trembled violently, and he tried to back away, terrified of the approaching humans and the memory of the dog that had attacked him. Harper knelt beside him, voice soft but firm. "It's okay, Jacob, you're safe now. Can you stand? Can we help you?" Tears welled in Emily's eyes as she approached cautiously. "Jacob, it's Mommy. I'm so sorry." The boy flinched at first, then recognition softened his fear. Emily knelt, keeping a careful distance, murmuring reassurances. "I panicked. I didn't know what to do. I left you. I'm so sorry." Nolan assessed the boy's injuries quickly. Scratches and bite marks marred his arms and legs, but nothing appeared life-threatening. Still, he needed medical attention immediately. Harper radioed for paramedics, who arrived moments later, rushing Jacob into the ambulance for treatment. As the paramedics worked, Harper turned back to Nolan. "We still have a dangerous dog out there. Brown, big, broken collar. If it got this close once, it could attack again." Nolan's jaw tightened. "We need a perimeter. Alert everyone in the area. Animal control, K9 units, and the public." But as the tension in the lot began to ease with Jacob secured, a shadow flickered at the far end of the parking lot. Harper's eyes narrowed. "Wait, did you see that?" Nolan's heart skipped a beat. He looked where she was pointing. A large brown shape slinked between cars, movement deliberate, eyes glinting. The dog, the one responsible for Jacob's injuries, was still there, watching, calculating. Rocco stiffened, growling low in his throat, ears pinned forward. Nolan whispered urgently, "Stay calm, but be ready." The dog moved quickly, disappearing into a dark alley beyond the parking lot. Harper's eyes locked on the movement. "It's still out there. It knows we're here. We can't let it get away." The precinct's command center erupted into activity. Officers and K9 units converged on the area, their movements precise, but the dog had already vanished into the maze of streets. Harper's stomach tightened. Whoever, or whatever, was controlling this dog, whether trained or wild, was smarter than they had anticipated. Lily clung to Emily, whispering again, small voice trembling. "Bad dog, he hurt him." Harper and Nolan exchanged a grim look. The nightmare was far from over. The injured boy was safe for now, but the threat was still out there, unseen, intelligent, and dangerous. And as the rain began to pick up again, pounding the lot with a renewed urgency, Harper knew one thing. This hunt was only just beginning. The dog was out there, Jacob was traumatized, and the city had no idea the danger lurking in its streets. The shadows of the alley seemed to whisper a warning. The predator had not finished, and the next move could be deadly. The city streets had become a maze of tension, rain-slicked and silent except for the occasional drip of water echoing in alleyways. By mid-afternoon, every available officer and K9 unit had joined the hunt for the brown dog with the broken collar. Detective Harper coordinated the operation from a commandeered SUV. Maps and security feeds spread across the dashboard, while Officer Nolan and Rocco led the field team on foot. Jacob was now safely at the hospital being treated for his injuries, but the tension in Nolan's chest refused to ease. His K9 partner was calm yet alert, muscles coiled like springs, sensing the dangerous dog they were tracking. Harper's voice crackled over the radio. "Units, perimeter is tightening. Last sighting near 14th and Elm. Approach cautiously. Animal is dangerous and unpredictable. Maintain visual. Do not engage without support." Nolan adjusted Rocco's leash, scanning the shadows. "Stay close," he murmured. Rocco's ears twitched, nose low to the ground, sniffing the air. The K9's instincts picked up a faint, musky scent, a mixture of fear and territorial aggression. The dog had been here recently, and it had left traces. Harper spoke into her radio, her tone steady but urgent. "Units, we've got eyes on movement. Could be our dog. Proceed with caution. We don't know its behavior yet. Could be injured, could be aggressive." Emily Vargas sat anxiously in the hospital waiting room with Lily. The toddler clutched a small stuffed animal, eyes wide, still trembling from the trauma she had witnessed. Emily whispered reassurances she barely believed herself, her hands shaking. "It's going to be okay, Lily. We're safe now, they'll find him." But Lily wasn't entirely convinced. Her small fingers clenched her mother's sleeve, and she murmured almost to herself, "Bad dog is still there, he watch." Emily's heart stopped for a second. "What did you say?" she asked softly. The toddler's wide eyes darted to the window as if she could see through walls. "He, watching, waiting, mommy run." Emily swallowed hard. "Lily, we're safe inside, okay? We won't run." Meanwhile, on the streets, Nolan felt Rocco's tension spike. The dog's hackles raised, a low growl rumbling in his throat. Nolan crouched slightly, scanning the alley ahead. A flicker of brown moved between two dumpsters. The dog was there. Harper's voice came over the radio again. "Nolan, do you have eyes on it?" "Yes," Nolan whispered. "I've got it, Rocco, on it." He signaled to nearby units, keeping his voice low. "Hold position. Rocco and I will approach slowly. Don't spook it, it could be aggressive." The brown dog froze in the shadows, eyes glinting, teeth bared slightly. It was tense but calculating, watching the approaching officer and K9 like a predator sizing up its opponent. Nolan could feel the danger radiating from the animal. Every instinct screamed caution. Rocco moved beside Nolan, low and deliberate, sniffing the air. Nolan whispered commands, guiding him carefully. The dog's posture mirrored Rocco's, alert, ready but wary. A single misstep could provoke an attack. Then Harper's voice cut sharply over the radio. "Units, be ready for rapid containment. Animal control is on standby, tranquilizer and net ready. Don't engage unless absolutely necessary." The brown dog suddenly darted into a narrow side alley, fast and silent, weaving between trash bins and parked cars. Nolan followed, Rocco at his side, muscles coiled, ready to spring. The tension in the alley was almost suffocating, the dim light casting long, eerie shadows across the walls. Nolan whispered to Rocco, "Stay with me, boy, stay with me." They turned a corner, and suddenly the dog bolted across an open lot. Units moved to intercept, but the animal was surprisingly agile, darting over fences and knocking over dumpsters, moving unpredictably. Nolan's heart raced. This dog was smart, more so than most he'd encountered. Harper was directing units over the radio, issuing precise coordinates. "Block the exits. It cannot leave the block. Animal control is moving in from the south and west. Corner it." But just as it seemed they were closing in, the dog paused, lifted its head, and let out a low, chilling growl, directed not at Rocco but at the nearby street. Nolan's blood ran cold. The dog had a plan. It wasn't just fleeing, it was observing, calculating its next move, testing the perimeter. Rocco growled low in response, his instincts telling Nolan to be cautious. Then Lily's words, whispered hours ago, echoed in Nolan's mind. He, watching, waiting. The realization struck like lightning. The dog had been watching the events unfold long before Jacob was left alone. It had been patient, calculating, and now it was prepared to act again. Harper's voice broke through his thoughts. "Nolan, what's happening? Are you engaging?" Nolan took a deep breath. "Not yet, it's smart, too smart. We need to flush it carefully, not rush. Rocco and I will approach slowly, everyone else hold positions." The dog's ears twitched and it bolted again, this time toward a narrow passage between two buildings. Nolan signaled to Rocco, moving in tandem. The alley smelled of damp concrete and trash, the shadows thick. They moved cautiously, every sense alert. Then a sudden movement, A flash of brown darted over a stack of pallets. The dog paused and Nolan caught it in his peripheral vision. Ragged, alert, dangerous. Now, Harper's voice commanded over the radio. Animal control units moved in from both sides, aiming nets and tranquilizer guns. But before they could act, the dog turned, lunged toward a narrow fence gap, and disappeared into darkness. Rocco barked sharply, growling, but Nolan knew the dog had vanished. For now. The tension was electric. Nolan's heart pounded. Harper's face was grim, eyes scanning the dark alleyways. It's clever, too clever, and it knows exactly how to avoid us. Nolan ran a hand through his hair. We're not done yet. It's out there and it's patient. That dog won't make a mistake twice. We need to anticipate its moves. Emily and Lily were still at the hospital, unaware of the near miss. But Harper knew the stakes were higher than ever. The dog wasn't random. It had learned, adapted, and it was dangerous. The city was blind to the threat moving in its streets. Lily's small voice whispered again, "He's still there, watch." Harper's eyes met Nolan's, tension coiling in her chest. She's right, he's still out there, and the next encounter could be deadly. The city seemed to hold its breath. The streets were silent, slick with rain, empty, waiting. Nolan clenched his fists, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. Rocco growled low, muscles tense, ears pricked forward. The hunt wasn't over. And somewhere in the shadows of the city, the brown dog watched, waited, and calculated its next move. The night had not ended. The danger had only grown. Night had fallen again, but this time the city felt different. Rain had returned in a steady, relentless drizzle, slicking streets into mirrors that reflected the flashing lights of police cars forming a tight perimeter. Detective Harper, Officer Nolan, and the remaining units had tracked the brown dog across nearly 3 city blocks, guided by Rocco's keen nose and Lily's fragmented but invaluable testimony. Jacob was safe in the hospital under the care of paramedics and nurses, but his injuries had left him shaken, trembling even now in his mother's arms. Emily sat nearby, Lily curled on her lap, still pale from the trauma. But Harper knew the hunt was far from over. The dog was still out there, intelligent, dangerous, and determined to evade capture. The officers had established a cordon around a narrow alleyway known for its tangle of dumpsters and fire escapes. Harper surveyed the area from the back of an SUV, night vision scopes in hand. "It's here," she said softly. "Rocco's nose doesn't lie. It's close, probably hiding, waiting." Nolan knelt beside his K9 partner, whispering, "Stay calm, Rocco, follow my lead. Eyes sharp, nose on the ground. Let's bring this to an end." The brown dog had been clever, eluding capture for hours, and Harper knew it had learned to anticipate human behavior. It wasn't acting out of pure instinct, it had strategy. Every growl, every pause, every dart between shadows had purpose. Then from the edge of the alley, movement. A flash of brown between 2 dumpsters. Rocco stiffened, growling low, hackles raised. Nolan signaled silently, creeping forward. Harper's voice cut through the radio, calm but urgent. "All units converge from north and south. Do not engage until I give the signal. Let's flush it slowly, no mistakes." The brown dog's ears twitched, and for a moment it froze, sensing the tightening perimeter. Then it bolted, moving with uncanny speed toward a narrow staircase leading to a fire escape. Nolan cursed under his breath. "It's trying to climb. Rocco, wait, wait." The dog paused halfway up the ladder, growling softly. Its eyes met Nolan's, intelligent, calculating, daring. It wasn't just a wild animal. It had been conditioned, perhaps trained, to navigate chaos, to evade capture, and to protect itself. Harper adjusted her scope. "It's cornered, but be careful. One wrong move and it could lash out. Tranquilizer ready, units in position." Nolan's grip tightened on Rocco's leash. "I've got it, Rocco's ready. We'll move slowly, don't rush. Wait for my command." The dog hissed, defensive but wary. Its gaze flicked briefly down the alley, then toward the faint glow of the streetlights. It was calculating its escape, but the net had been tightening for hours. There was nowhere left to go. Then a sudden movement. The dog lunged toward a dumpster, trying to vault across it and escape the narrowing perimeter. Nalin barked a command. "Rocco, go." The K9 surged forward, agile and controlled, landing between the dog and the alley's exit. Nalin followed, moving with precision. The brown dog growled, snapping its jaws, but Rocco met it calmly, maintaining a protective stance, ready to block and hold, not attack. Harper's voice cut through again. "Now, net." Animal control units swung their nets, precise and swift. The dog twisted, evading the first attempt, but Rocco and Nalin pressed, guiding it carefully into the corner. A second net caught its flank and the dog yelped, scrambling frantically, but the perimeter held. Within moments, a final net encapsulated the dog, and trained handlers secured it safely. Nalin exhaled sharply, chest heaving. Rocco remained tense for a moment, then relaxed slightly, tail wagging weakly. The hunt was over. Harper approached, her voice calm but firm. "Good work, Nalin, Rocco. Everyone executed perfectly. The threat is contained." The dog, now restrained and calm under professional handling, glared from behind the mesh, still alert, still intelligent, but unable to escape the safety of trained hands. Nalin looked at Rocco, pride and relief mingling in his eyes. The K9 had read every movement, sensed every threat, and helped bring a dangerous animal under control without a single human injury. Back at the hospital, Jacob was being treated. Nurses cleaned and bandaged his bite marks and scratches, his small body trembling intermittently. Emily sat beside him, hands wrapped tightly around his, tears streaming freely. Lily sat quietly on Emily's lap, clutching her stuffed animal, still haunted by the images of the night. Harper and Nalin entered the room, silent for a moment as they observed the family. Emily looked up, eyes red but filled with gratitude. You found him, you got him back." Harper knelt beside Jacob gently. "He's safe now, Jacob. You're going to be okay. No one's going to hurt you again. Do you understand?" The boy nodded weakly, eyes wide, still frightened but beginning to trust the people around him. "Dogga big scary," he whispered. Nalin smiled gently. "We got him, buddy. He won't hurt anyone anymore." Lily, still clutching her stuffed animal, whispered softly, "Bad dogga caught." Emily hugged both children tightly, tears streaming. "I panicked, I left him. I'm so sorry, I just wanted to protect Lily." Harper's expression softened. "You acted out of fear. You weren't thinking clearly, but you came forward. You helped us solve this. That's what matters." Nalin knelt beside Emily and Lily. "Your bravery helped us track this dog. Without your words, Lily, we wouldn't have known what we were looking for. You helped save your brother." The toddler's small face brightened faintly, and she buried her face in Emily's shoulder. Harper allowed herself a moment of quiet satisfaction. The tension that had gripped the city, the precinct, and every soul involved was finally beginning to release. But the night wasn't just about relief. It was about lessons learned and accountability. Harper glanced at Nalin. "We still need to determine how this dog ended up loose, who trained it, and why it targeted the boy. There's a bigger picture here." Nalin nodded, exhausted but resolute. "We'll find the answers. Rocco and I will help. That dog may be caught, but its story isn't over yet." Emily's voice broke the silence. Can we keep them together? The kids, Rocco, I don't know how to explain this to Lily. She's so small and she's been through so much." Harper smiled faintly. "They'll be safe now, and with your care, Lily and Jacob will heal. This night, it was terrifying, but it's over, and you did your best under impossible circumstances." The camera of their minds, the precinct, the streets, the dark alleyways, and the hospital room captured a city breathing again, wary but alive. The brown dog had been contained, Jacob was safe, Lily's voice had guided the hunt, and Emily had faced her panic and fear. Rocco lay at Nolan's feet, alert but calm, sensing the tension had lifted. Nolan patted his side, whispering, "Good boy, you did it. We did it." Harper, standing, looked out the hospital window, watching the rain glisten on empty streets. The city was quiet now, but the events of the night would linger, etched into the minds of everyone involved. Lessons learned, lives saved, trauma endured, and a child's bravery had guided them all. And somewhere in the distance, the night wind carried a faint echo of what had been. Reminder that vigilance, courage, and humanity could turn fear into action, and that sometimes the smallest voices, the tiniest words, could change everything. Emily held Jacob and Lily close, tears still falling, whispering reassurances they might never forget. Nolan and Harper watched for a moment longer, silent witnesses to the conclusion of a terrifying night. Finally, Harper turned to Nolan. "We'll need to file the reports, coordinate with animal control, and ensure the city knows this dog is secured. But for now, we let them heal." Nolan nodded, glancing at Rocco and the family. Relief, exhaustion, and a quiet pride mingled in his chest. The hunt had been harrowing, the danger real, but they had prevailed. The rain began to let up, the city slowly awakening to the light of a new day. The dark night had ended, but its story would live on, etched into memory, a testament to courage, instinct, and the power of a child's words. And in that stillness, Harper allowed herself a rare, small smile. The case was closed. The danger was contained, and for now the city was safe.